Christian Eriksen, Brentford, Man United, Spurs.
I'm going to get this completely wrong, but I think Christian Eriksen may end up at Manchester United.
Welcome back to the Done Deal Show. Christian Eriksen, David Ornstein believes that he will end up at Manchester United, and it's been a little bit of a roller coaster of a ride of a transfer. There have been reports of terms being agreed in recent times that have been shared and put out there by some of the mainstream media. There's also been talk of him having rejected Manchester United, but David Ornstein has tweeted about this deal 2 or 3 times and has kind of alludes to the fact that he believes it will happen. Now, what's very interesting about the podcast on Haters TV is that he literally says in the podcast, like, for him as an individual, his credibility is key. He very rarely will say something online and talk about something online unless he believes that it will happen. Now, of course, we were told on Wednesday on the Done Deal Show live with Ben Jacobs that Man United are the most advanced. Man United are advanced in this process. Now, what's really interesting is people, I don't mean it to sound condescending. I know the football terrace community gets it. People outside or that see my tweets or interact are still kind of skeptical over what exactly a deal being advanced means. How can he be advanced with Manchester United, but Brentford still be in the race for him? And I think this is because quite often a lot of journalists, especially on the mainstream media, the Sky Sports, the BT Sports, they don't go into the intricate detail that you get through reading a David Ornstein article, that you get through listening to Ben Jacobs, Dean Jones, these types of people. But as it stands right now, Manchester United are advanced in negotiations and talks with Christian Eriksen. The offer they've given to him is acceptable from a financial standpoint and position within the squad. The only factor stopping him from completing the deal is 2 things. One, London is still a big call for him. There is still this element of, as great as everything else is, as close as I am to maybe saying yes to Manchester United, do I want to leave London and uproot my family again? The next element is, will Tottenham or another club, maybe with Champions League football, come in for me? So can I delay my final decision to complete the deal, even though things are advanced? There's lots going on with this deal. Let's take a quick look at what Ben Jacobs said the other day, just in case you missed it. Say, we're living in the age of I want daily up. People often ask me, why do you do daily updates on transfers? Well, because people ask about them every day. So why would we not? And we're only relying on what's out there, and we're more fan-based, so it's easy. We're just talking about it. Another player that United and of course Spurs and Brentford are all looking at, and where we're going to update on, is Christian Eriksen. And it's been an interesting week, because if we think about it from a point of view of, first of all, there was reports from The Athletic that he rejected United. Then you had Alistair Gold say Spurs have kind of called their interest, stepped away. He said we had and living in London was no longer a priority. There was a report that not Champions League football wasn't a deal breaker. Then you had Jamie Jackson say that Man United had been rejected again. And then there was a further report yesterday that said that he's still considering all 3 options. So we've literally had the full circle. What's your understanding of the latest of Christian Eriksen and his next club?
So I think Manchester United, as I think we said the last time we spoke, have made a firm offer, and Tottenham have not. And it is unlikely that Christian Eriksen will rejoin Tottenham. If there was an offer from Tottenham, I think that there would be the desire and sentiment of Eriksen to return. But my understanding is that Tottenham will not make an offer for Christian Eriksen. And it's not even a case that things have cooled between Spurs and Eriksen. I don't think Spurs ever got to a point where they were seriously considering making an offer for Christian Eriksen. And they've moved very quickly in the window. Perisic is a great signing. If Tottenham wanted Eriksen, they would have swooped for him early in the window, because they are well aware that if they make an offer, Eriksen's going to pick Spurs because it ticks every box. My understanding is that Eriksen would like to remain in London, and that's what's still giving Brentford just a little bit of hope about agreeing a new deal. And Eriksen also has got a lot of respect and goes back a long way with Thomas Frank. So the first person that Eriksen will tell when he's made a decision is Thomas Frank, and don't therefore rule out Brentford. Other clubs that are looking at him that are a bit newer since we last spoke, Leicester City, who considered a January move, and Leeds United and Newcastle. But Manchester United are the most advanced. So
there you go. A comprehensive update there from Ben Jacobs, full detail on the process. And I think what's really interesting about this is when you read a lot of the Twitter replies that I've had in the last 24 hours for saying it's advanced, but then explaining that some journalists are still printing that London is the main draw, that other clubs have got involved. People really, and I don't mean this in a rude way, and I know the football terrace community, as I say, get it, but people are still really struggling with the concept of how can a player be advanced with one club but still talking to others? How can a player agree terms with 1, 2, 3 clubs but still be more, but leaning more towards one of the three? It doesn't make any sense. But that's because, and I saw a comment there saying, morning Terry, BT doesn't have a news channel yet. I know they don't, but they still talk transfers. They still speak about these things. And we often do this in a very basic sense. And what I've realized has happened, and I sort of spent some time really thinking about this in the last 24 hours, and it's very, very obvious to me. Since transfer news on social media is hyped up over the past 2 years, and I'm talking about all the major, you only got to go back 2 or 3 years, and the major Sky Sports would take 2 or 3 days to get their highlights uploaded after a game. Now it's almost momentarily. The mainstream media has cottoned onto the social media world, and it's fast and it's quick and it pushes information out quickly. Fans are also demanding daily updates. But what's happened is that the transfer market was quite small for a few years because of lockdowns and financial restraints. So you kind of went through this period where when everything went digital and went onto social media, rather than waiting 3 or 4 days for updates, we went through this period where, generally speaking, it was maybe one club, sometimes two, chasing an individual football player. We've now gone back to normal in the transfer window where, as ever in football, 2, 3, 4 clubs are all fighting for one player. And I think football fans are struggling to digest the regular updates in news. So it could be today, Chelsea are prioritizing Raheem Sterling. And then the news comes out that Spurs are now showing an interest. And you'll get Chelsea fans say, well, how can we be in the race? And now it's on at Tottenham as well. How does that make sense? But it's always been that way. It's how transfers have operated. Now, I think when it comes to Christian Eriksen, this is a prime example that he is advanced with Manchester United. And people say, well, how can he be advanced? It's a yes or no answer. Football isn't that binary or simple. Manchester United may make their offer, but then still have a number of meetings, phone calls, messages after the fact with the player and his agent to check in, see how they're feeling, maybe offer them something a little bit more. Just showing that interest and that care and that want. It isn't as simple as just, there's £100,000 a week, £3 million signing on fee, 7% to the agent, take it or leave it. It's never really that basic. And I think that a lot more needs to be done by journalists and by the TV companies to kind of educate the football fans on this. In fact, they could probably add a more difficult element into football games, and it would probably make people understand it a little bit more. But I trust David Ornstein. And when David Ornstein starts tweeting and talking about a subject a lot, it gives it a higher probability of happening. Ben Jacobs, again, highly credible, will not leave a stone unturned in the conversation. And it's interesting because, again, a few people didn't call us out. They just commented on how can all these things be the case. And my view is this. I'm not really a fan of bullet point journalism where you show one small slither and segment of the transfer story to gain traction. And it's something I'm trying to be better at on the football terrace. We may put out a headline like Tottenham, Rafinha to Tottenham is on. It isn't right now. They haven't made a bid or they haven't made an official move as it stands. There's an interest. But if for instance, it was, what we'd put in the thread is, Arsenal was still leading the race. Arsenal have done this, Barcelona that. You kind of explain the situation. And Rafinha is a prime example of how multiple clubs are fighting for one player. Richarlison is the same. Jesus this season is equally in that space. You've only got to look at the Kylian Mbappe deal. He agreed personal terms with PSG and Real Madrid, and then in the end made a decision around where he wanted to be the most. So these things are normal. These things always happen. But I think for the first time, we're really seeing it on social media. And on top of seeing it on social media, football fans, every summer there's a new thing with fans. There's a new thing that's important. At the moment, it's everybody wants to be leading in a one-horse race. It's almost this, we're the only club that Jesus, Richarlison, Rafinha, De Jong wants. And everything you say is nonsense. Plus, people are always seeking, this hasn't changed, confirmation bias on a day-to-day regular basis. I want, how do I say this in the right way? Some people are still tweeting daily, United have been rejected by Eriksen and De Jong, where this isn't the case. The vast majority of media stories and news from credible sources about both those deals is that the players have either agreed terms, close to agreeing terms, advanced from a personal aspect towards Manchester United. But of course, if you don't want the players, if you want to live in a negativity dungeon, if you're a rival, you're not really going to hone on to that, because that isn't the news that you want per se. I think that's a really important part of this as well. But the overarching angle here is this, that Christian Eriksen to Manchester United is advanced. Christian Eriksen to Manchester United could very well happen soon. It was always expected mid to the end of June that a decision from Eriksen would be made. Now, of course, as we say, Brentford are still fighting. Spurs seemingly have pulled away from this transfer now, and they will not be making a move for him. But as ever, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on here. Terry lecturing people on how transfers work is a bit rich. Not really. I mean, I would say this. My thoughts and feelings, my understanding of how transfers work has really developed in the last 3 to 4 years since talking to many agents, speaking to many journalists, and just watching it for myself in terms of, do I sit there and think that just because a credible journalist has got something wrong, that it's his fault, that he lied and made it up? No, not when you speak to them. Clubs change and go in new directions. Interesting, the pressure that we put on journalists is actually why some, why they are so vague when it comes to their updates. But there's no lecture here, my friend. It's just explaining the details. It's not my fault if it offends you. United are the only club actually to put an offer on the table for Eriksen, a bit like how Barca are the only team to give Dembele an offer, but both are waiting to see other offers come in. And that's exactly the point, Matthew. That's exactly what it is. United have made an offer. The offer is acceptable to Christian Eriksen. He likes the idea of playing. He's attracted to Man United. Not having Champions League football isn't a deal breaker, but he's weighing up his options. But it's that weighing up his options bit that befuddles people. Well, what do you mean? He's thinking about going to other clubs. That infuriates a percentage of Man United fans. Equally, people that don't support Man United don't want to hear the claim that it's advanced to Man United, because that's bad news, because they know he's a good player. People don't want what Man United fans want to hear. Most Man United fans want to hear is it's advanced with Man United. He wants to join Man United. United are closing in on the deal. But that isn't the full truth. So why would you want to not be given the full truth of the matter? It's when you're not given the full truth that you don't. It's when you become shocked. There's a gate crash or a hijack, or suddenly the player changes his mind. Why? Because you weren't given the full amount of information that's available. That is. But yeah, that's typically how these things kind of work out. Do us a favor this morning, people, and get that like button smashed for us right about now. Well said, Terry. The transfer market is a very unique proposition with the differences in how clubs operate. In fairness, it works like a lot of what I call, the business-to-business sales market. If you've ever worked at high-level corporate business sales, business-to-business sales, it's exactly the same way. I mean, in that industry, I've seen people go out on a Friday celebrating winning a landmark deal for their business. Happened in a company I worked for. Different department went out and they celebrated. And they were like, they had a good night, spent a lot of money on expenses. On the Monday, the company that agreed to deal with them pulled out. They've done about $9,000 on expenses. So I've seen these things happen in multiple industries as well. Billy here says, the fact that Barca have bid for Lewandowski gives me hope that Frankie de Jong to United is close to happening. Well, look, I listened to a Spanish football financial expert speak about this yesterday. And what he essentially alluded to is that until the injection of cash comes in from the sale of assets at Barca, they can't spend as much as they want from the sale of players on new players, registering players' salaries, etc. So unless Man United pay a whopping asking price, which is above their own valuation, Barca won't say yes because right now they need that money. They don't want it to essentially get sucked into a vacuum. Once that money gets injected, and some suggest that could be in about a week, it could be about 2 weeks. I'm reading different reports. Once that money comes in, it's a very, very different scenario indeed. So yes, and Barca though may be forced though if their targets start then moving on to other football clubs. It's just the way it is. SB here says this guy's probably at a point in life where he'll do what makes him and his family happy after what happened to him. Exactly. And why not weigh up all your options? Why not weigh up all your options and wait till they're all on the table before you make a decision? You know, he's probably interested in Man United, but what if he picks Manchester United and then an offer from a team more attractive to him comes in and thinks, should have waited? You know, you might wake up tomorrow morning and go, do you know what? I've made my mind up. That's where I want to be. And that's it. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. Don here says, love the tears from Terry. Don, I think you're clutching here, my guy. Calm, cool, collected alpha still this morning. No tears whatsoever. People need to realize these players don't always support the club. For them, it's a business decision. That's why they speak to more than one club. And absolutely right, my friend. But that doesn't fit with fan narrative. Fans, they're just not, they're not liking that at the moment. I think what we also suffered with was a number of very prominent journalists for 2 or 3 years they've just played every side. So not so much presenting the fact, but they're just nice about every team. They always present it from a positive angle. There's very rarely a rejection story. There's, you know, what I loved about Ben the other day, he went on Man United. That tells you he's being real and genuine. Dean Jones does it all the time. If he has a personal feeling or he's being told something isn't right at a club, he'll say it. But what he'll get from that fan base when he's saying something that they don't like is, you're nonsense, you talk crap, you're tier 57. And then when he comes on and says, Arsenal was blah, 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 and it's really positive. I love Dean. Dean's great. It's a little bit about who's saying things, but it's more about what people are saying in the transfer market. And people only want, when they're in a positive mind frame as a group and a fan base, they only want positive news. And knowing that another club has entered the race for your player is seen as negative, and they will seek every single bit of information they can to say that that is wrong, even when the vast majority of reports are saying that exact same thing. But that's people for you, and I enjoy it. That's why the transfer window is so intriguing to me. It's amazing to listen to. Let's have a look at Eriksen. Would be a great competition for Bruno, and with Donny van de Beek coming back from the loan, the rotation would be awesome. However, still don't fix the DM problems at the club. Of course, it doesn't fix that problem at Manchester United, and it's something the club needs to focus on. It's something the club needs to put pressure on. It's something the club really needs to hone in on and ensure that they've essentially got a plan of action. There has to be a plan of action. There has to be a process. There has to be something they're looking at there. Frankie de Jong appears to be that individual. United do not look like they're going for an enforcer style 6, someone that's going to, you know, a Basuma, an N'Golo Kante at his pomp as an example. They look more like they're going for a reader of the game, a Michael Carrick-esque, a Verratti type player. Of course, can get into a tackle, can intercept, can break up play. Frankie de Jong does do that and will do that, but just of a different makeup. And I think football fans have sometimes got to understand that, you know, there are more than one way. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as it were. Morning, Star-Lord. Hope that you are well, my friend. Hope that you are doing good. I'm going to share the link if anybody wants to phone in this morning and have their say in relation to this transfer. I'd like to hear from you right now, or any others that are on your mind, any others that you want to speak about, or anything else going on. Later today, we've got updates coming in on a number of different a number of different teams. We've got Dean Jones on this afternoon at 5 p.m. live for a Dean Jones edition of the Done Deal Show, where we're going to kind of be touching on Arsenal and Tottenham and everything else, getting his insight and his understanding of what's going on with a number of these deals right now. So we've got updates on that. Lisandro Martinez later on today as well. Plus, I did take some notes earlier because we were discussing it in a meeting earlier on today. Also, a big Raheem Sterling update on the way, but that's probably going to wait until the Dean Jones show because there may be a new party entering the race for Raheem Sterling. So stay with us on that one. Anthony doesn't want United, just like Timber and De Jong. Okay, the one, there we go. Last season's window with Sky leading the story was Kane to go to City was hilarious. I need to know what you mean by that, my friend. I need to know what you mean. The Glazers taking out 11 million should be the only topic today. Listen, I'm almost not prepared to talk about it, though, Alvin. I'll tell you why I'm not prepared to talk about it. Until Man United fans unfollow the accounts, stop going on the website, cancel MUTV, stop buying shirts and give up their tickets, there's no point moaning about the Glazers. If you fund Man United, directly fund Manchester United, and you're moaning about how the Glazers operate, you're a hypocrite, and I don't want to hear it. Personally, that's just where I am at with it now. You know, the Glazer-run Man United element is a business to me, and I walk away from businesses that don't treat me well. I walk away from businesses. Look what they did to that season ticket holder the other day. Fair enough, they've made a mistake. They've missed some emails and stuff like that. These things happen. It's a disgrace. But I'm not going to overly focus on it and make a whole big piece of content on it because what's the point? It's one of those things that everyone's just going to moan about it and then go back to doing what they always do. And irrespective of who we sign this summer, we shouldn't change our feelings toward the Glazers. It's going to take years of change for any kind of emotional feeling to resonate. But I do get your point with that, my friend. I think as United right now, it's concerning those signings look close. Maybe. I mean, I don't necessarily think those signings look close. I think that's an exaggeration. I'm not too sure where that is kind of coming from. Man United are working on 3 or 4 deals at the same time. Anthony, they're working on De Jong, they're working on Christian Eriksen. They're looking at a number of defensive options. Of course, Irian Timber is a player the club wanted, but he doesn't fancy himself to have the ability or quality right now to start ahead of Harry Maguire, so he's pulling away from the deal, and that's on him. You know, if he doesn't feel ready for Manchester United, nobody can force him to be. So I think that's a real interesting talking point. But if you want to phone in and have your say, I'm going to share the links in the live comment section now. Please give that like button a smash. Let's get it past 250 likes while we're live on the air. Spot on, Terry. Cancelled my packages and haven't purchased a shirt in a while. Fans need to realize you are either the problem or the solution. I haven't lost hope either. It's not about losing hope. I'm not an activist. Never been an activist. Will never be an activist. I respect people's right to protest. I respect people's right to strike. Something that makes one of the elements that makes that about the UK that I love. It's one of the privileges of living in a free society. However, that isn't my way of doing things. I'm an actions person, and I'll just take action. And my action is to pull away. I've made my feelings very clear multiple times on social media what I think needs to be done, and the majority aren't willing to do it. But I'm not going to preach to those people. It's not my job to make them do what I want. That just isn't me as an individual. If that's the kind of person that I was, I'd have gone into a different industry. My job isn't to preach and tell people how they should live. It's just not my way. I'll give you my view on what I think should happen. But if you turn around and go, I want to keep my season ticket, fair play to you, mate. That's the difference. It's not about giving up hope. There's never been any hope because I never believed that Man United fans would do it. So, yeah, I didn't say, maybe they'll all follow suit and do what I've done. Why would they? Everybody's free to do what they want. It's as simple as that for me. It sounds like the protest from 1858 might be working a bit. Listen, I think what Arnold said is already in process. Man United haven't had a problem with starting a new project well. They've never had a problem with that, starting the process well. It's seeing it through and finishing it that's the issue. That's literally Man United's problem. I'm not worried about the first 12 to 18 months under Ten Hag, under this new regime, football people making decisions. I'm not worried about that. It's will we go the full hog? That's the concern. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And Man United have a habit. We don't finish. We literally don't finish. We book the dinner table. We wine and we dine. We have a great night. We go to a club. We have cocktails. We get home. We're chilling. We're laughing. We're joking on the sofa. So maybe start to unbutton a few clothes. We get a little close. There's a nice kiss. There's a little bit of, first base action, maybe moving towards second base. And then we fall asleep. And then we wake up in the morning all by ourselves, bit lonely, bit sad, needing a cold shower. That's Manchester United. So I'm not worried about, that's why I'm not worried about this summer per se. Like, remember, we're not fixing all the problems in this one summer. That's another notion that a lot of people are pushing. Of course, if you're a Man United fan, come the end of the window, journalists, pundits, and rivals say, but you've still got these problems. Of course. And they were always going to be there at the end of this window. We're not where Arsenal are at the end of their rebuild, ready to compete and challenge. We're not where Liverpool and Manchester, we're not where Liverpool and where City are at all. We're not there. We're going in a completely different direction. First window, it's going to take a little bit of time. But I do think you'll see the team playing better almost instantly, no doubt about that. The United players are back for pre-season medicals during this weekend. Watch the media news ramp up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to players coming back because it will give us new things to talk about, because there will be new things off the back of it to speak about 110%. Has the Tielemans deal been put back on the back burner? Rafinha for 70 million, Martinez for 70 million. We should be pushing to get Tielemans for 35. Look, we'll see what happens. I mean, as we saw yesterday from reports from the Netherlands, that it's between 50 and 70 for the Timbers, the Martinezes, and the Antonys now. Will Arsenal part with another 50, 60 million on the defender? 60, 70 million on Rafinha? It looks like there's going to be a bidding war for him. And still go for Tielemans? That remains to be seen. If Arsenal's board do that for them as a football club, it is absolutely phenomenal. And the fans will have to be very, very grateful, very, very happy, and almost to a degree humbled if that happens. That would be phenomenal business. It really, really would. That's why Terry is not stressed about signings. They start the process, but don't finish it. Generally, and equally, listen, if we get another 3 or 4 weeks in and nothing's changed, then maybe I'll start to get a little bit stressed. I'm just saying to people, read the reports. The work's going on right now. United will get deals done. This notion that we're being rejected left, right, and centre. Darwin Núñez is the only player that has said no to Man United for another football club. Timber's reason for saying no is a positive for Manchester United, no doubt. First caller on the show today, Matt joins me. What are you saying, my friend?
Morning, Terry. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. What's your take on the news from Ben Jacobs and David Ornstein in relation to Christian Eriksen?
I think it's going to be a fantastic signing, only because I think it's underexpected in a way that you're almost expecting him to come in and just be a bit part player or a bench player or a rotation option. But I think the fact that Ten Hag is pushing for him so much, I think it really is going to be key to our play. And perhaps it's because he's going to try something different with a Bruno, or perhaps we're going to see something very, very different out of Ten Hag. I was watching a video from Tifo Football about how he's played in the 2 different seasons with his best Ajax teams, and it's all about how the midfield is interplay and the changing in midfield and how they run it differently. And I think with Eriksen coming in, you might see Bruno be given a bit more license and perhaps pushed out wide rather than keeping him central. Because if you've got Bruno, Donny, and Eriksen all playing for the same position, one of them's not going to be happy by the end of the year and will want to be sold. And so I can only see it in a way, perhaps, that he's going to try something very different with United and put our best creators out wide, and then have a strong ball retention midfield.
Yeah, I think, look, I look at it from the point of view of, like, Eriksen's going to be a 1-year deal with an option to extend, first and foremost. So you're kind of in a position where, depending on how he does year 1, will he be here the following season? We don't know. If he does very, very well, then Man United will extend. If they don't, that they'll move him on. I think it's make or break for a number of players. Bruno Fernandes is a weird person to say this about, but if he doesn't have a good season year one under Ten Hag, he could be moved on. Donny's going to be given a chance to impress. If he doesn't, he'll move on. That's why I think it's important for Man United fans to remember, although the football will improve, although I think we'll be better, I think we'll win more points this year, there are still lots of things to fix. And because there's lots of things to fix, because it's going to take time to fix them, people have got to remain relaxed. And this is the point I've made to Man United fans a lot. I'm not happy with the owners and lots of things that they do. But if we want a rebuild to be completed, we have to remain as calm as possible because the Glazers do react to us. And one of the reasons they react to Man United is because whenever they sack and rehire a manager, stereotypically, there's a big spike in the share price. Now, at the moment, the share price is at a massive low, but they will be the ones buying up those low shares from people that may be panicking, going, oh, God, look, the United are plummeting. Because they also know when 2 or 3 good signings are made, the share price will shoot back up again and they'll make a huge yield on their money. So the Glazers use Man United fan panic. Now, it doesn't mean you can't be angry. It doesn't mean you shouldn't show frustration, but patience is always going to be key. Rome wasn't built in a day. Everybody said we needed a rebuild. Everybody said we needed an overhaul. Everybody said we needed this kind of manager to be added to Manchester United. So shut the fuck up and let them try and bring it to fruition. People are moaning after 5 to 6 weeks that everything's not fixed yet. It's an absolute abomination. And that's why I don't believe these people. I don't believe they're either dumb as fuck or they're lying. They cannot be angry after this amount of time. They're being given what they want. Rebuild, overhaul, new manager, proper playing style. People are moaning that players, oh, why are they all showing pictures of how fit they are and all this? Well, because they've been told by Erik Ten Hag to come back early and to be the fittest they've been returning from pre-season. I understand the PR element. Maybe people don't want to see it on socials, but these people have sponsors. These people have fans and followers. They're going to post it on social media. If you don't want to see social media things, get the fuck off social media. And I'm sorry to rant about this stuff, but it's the absolute truth. Everything Man United fans were demanding during the Ollie era, we've started to do right now. Football people making football decisions, trying to drive the price down of players, selling people for the right prices,
Stopping leaks.
All these things. But Man United fans aren't ever happy, or some Man United fans aren't happy. And that's why I'm not joining in with them I'm not joining in with them right now. You know, maybe in a year, 18 months, if nothing improves, nothing gets better, I'll say, do you know what, guys, you were right. But right now, I ain't getting aboard that boat. For me, that boat right now is full of a lot of people panicking that their only commodity on social media of moaning might dissipate. Simple as that.
It's like this Derby County winger that was being, rumoured to be linked with United, saying, he's a free agent, it could be a good option. But from what we've heard now is it was a story that United put out to certain people to work out whether they were leaking information from the club. They only gave it to certain people, and it was, so the whole thing between, it's going to be Crystal Palace or United. It was obviously going to be Crystal Palace. Their academy looks fantastic, but being a young player, you want to go somewhere where you've got a great academy and you can see the pathway through. With United, I don't think you can see the pathway through yet until Ten Hag's given time to work for youth. But this story was planted so that we could find out who's leaking information about transfers and whatnot about that, which makes United actually are trying to get rid of this rumours that are starting up beforehand, and they're going to go sort of almost silent like Liverpool did, have been for years. They'll only want to give out the media briefings when they want to give them out, rather than having the media being briefed beforehand.
And I actually hope that you're right on that, mate. I really do. Matt, great call, my friend. Thanks for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you. As Kingsley here says, Terry speaking absolute sense, but the majority of people wouldn't listen. Always said this and similar things about my club, Arsenal, for 3 years now. And this is the balance you have to have. And I think this is a nuance that people really struggle with, because most people nowadays, when it comes to opinions, are polarized. So I believe in giving the rebuild time, but equally, I'm going to put a lot of pressure on my club to make it happen. Some people, every time I say things like that, I see people pulling, Heath Ledger as Joker. Everybody losing their minds. It makes everyone lose their minds. Their brains go, hang on. So how can you be relaxed but putting pressure on the club? Well, because they're two different things, aren't they? How, Terry? How? Easy. The Glazers and the board, the decision makers and money men and women, they hold the key. If they don't allow the football people the scouts and the recruitment teams and the manager to create what they need, it will fail. That group of people now running the club essentially are new in their positions. So they are almost ring-fenced from the old regime. So you put pressure on the owners and the people that have run the club into the ground to allow the new people to do their job to the best of their abilities. It's so basic, in my opinion. So I'm relaxed about the new group doing their job. I'm putting pressure upon the Glazers. But all the stories coming out around things around United are not willing to pay £15 million over the asking price for De Jong. Some people are calling it. Now, listen, I get the point. If the Glazers weren't taking dividends, there'd be more money in the pot. That's different from the club not overspending. But if the club doesn't want to spend more than £65 million on him, irrespective of the dividends being taken out, they shouldn't go above it. That's the if we're willing to pay it, but the money ain't there because of the Glazers, it's a different scenario. But people are mixing the two things together at all times. Now, up until now, it was mixed together because the non-football people and the board were making the footballing decisions. It's now been changed. So let's give this new change time to come to fruition and see. That is the point here. And I think people want to ignore that all the time. And I'm not sure why they want to ignore it. I really don't get it. But there we go. Is Jesus done, Terry? According to some outlets, it is. According to others, it's de facto done deal. Very close to happening. Depends upon the journalist that you listen to and speak to. I get a feeling that once he finishes his holiday, I think it will accelerate very, very quickly indeed. It's going to be, might be Arsenal's marquee signing this summer. Why would they want to rush it with it? Why they want to rush it and ruin the fanfare is my feeling on that. Why so serious, Terry? Yeah, great line. It's true, but people are just mad with it. I want change at my club. Well, change takes time. It just takes time to get these things done. The Aussie Gooner is here with us now. What are you saying, my friend?
Dude, the Eriksen speculation, the Jesus deal, that's taking donkey's years. I know it's patience is a virtue, and as an Arsenal fan, that's rich. But look, you made a point on you've got footballing minds now taking control, and you got to let them do their job. It's about power. It's about the Glazers saying, you go do what you're going to do. We're not going to make no marketing signings. We're not going to go and make signings so we can sell jerseys, sell kits, and get sponsorship. And I reckon when it comes to your recruitment now, right, it's going to be the right type of player for the position with the right attitude. And I know it's like, oh, no. It is. Look, in a team, it's a team effort. If you've got yourself a bunch of players that are in there for themselves and only themselves, stat packing themselves to make themselves look good, there's no harmony. And I think Erik ten Hag is about, I don't care who you are, what you are, as long as you can come in and put a shift, that's the kind of player I want. Now, this Eriksen deal, I say it's a signing for depth, but not a starting for the starting line. It's a depth move, and there's nothing wrong with it because it's not like you guys are going one player at a bloody time, and that's what most fans have to understand. These Manchester United aren't going, let's just wait on De Jong. When we get that done, like a bus, then we'll move on to the next player. They're going to have their feelers out, and they're moving on maybe 3 or 4 players at the same time. And you might find that it's a domino effect of player after player signs, but these deals have taken, 5 weeks to complete with teams in different countries talking blah, blah, blah. It's not as simple as one player at a time. It isn't. It really isn't.
And it never really, it's funny really, because people like Arsenal fans have got like this whole sort of, I don't believe in this. We're going to drop out. We're going to call our interest in Joe Blogs to focus on John Smith, because it doesn't take 8-9 hours a day to chat to clubs about transfers. It just doesn't, right? Like they're not sitting in meetings for 8 hours a day negotiating. It really isn't. This isn't the UN trying to stop a war. Like, do you know what I'm saying? This is not that deep.
Yeah.
The reason that people call interest is because it'll be, hang on, so we were going to sign Joe Blogs, but actually maybe the money's going to be better spent in these couple of areas. So we're going to go and work on that, see what we can do. Maybe if we don't land one, or if we get a sale done that we didn't expect, we'll have some money again to come back for the original target or change. That's typically what it is, because you work on multiple, like people that think that Arsenal, like this is not a dig, this is a compliment. People that think that Arsenal thought of, started talks and got Fabio Vieira done in like 2 or 3 days and mental. I bet if you delved into it, they've been working on it for months.
Before the transfer window.
They just managed to keep that one quiet. And the point is this, there's a comment that came through and it's a fair comment. Okay. And it says, listen, Terry, even other clubs have got done deals. Look at Arsenal, Tottenham, City. They've got signings and things they've done. So let me just say about that. Man United's new team and regime, management, were employed 6 weeks ago. Look how long Cities and Liverpool's have been in place. Look how long Arsenal were 3 years into this rebuild. Spurs have had Paratici for a year now. And of course, Conte came in November. This is brand new. If Eriksen back in May would have said no to Man United, would have gone for a different manager. Therefore, different targets. United are starting behind those teams because they've done what Man United fans asked for, which was a sack and an overhaul of the board and the recruitment team. We want to bring in some directors of football, and there's still a chance we might add another person to that team soon. So you can't do like imagine there's talks about Michael Edwards coming. I want to throw this out as an example. Imagine you bring in Michael Edwards. Before you bring him in, you go out and sign all these players without listening to his influence first. It's like we want these new people in play to help run the club, but we want to make decisions before they've arrived. It don't make sense to me. It don't make sense to me, my friend.
You got to let them weave their wand. If the whole point of getting Erik ten Hag was to do a rebuild, and then you're going to dictate to him what players he's going to get, then what was the point of getting rid of Solskjaer? End of the day, you got to let him do it. You got to let him work. Now, at Man United at the moment, you've got a squad of players that's changed hands how many times now? It went Solskjaer, it went Ragnick, and now it's come to Ten Hag. This same squad.
A lot of these guys, quite a few of them were Jose's. I mean, up until quite a lot of left already, but there's still quite a few that were Jose's players as well.
Jose himself said he had players that he didn't want there, and he wasn't backed by the Glazers, right? Ragnick wanted loans. He wasn't backed. Loan players. He wasn't backed. Now, Man United fans can only hope that the Glazers are going to get their heads out of their rear ends and allow somebody who understands football to control the recruitment, the squad, the whole lot. And they can continue collecting their cash, because I don't think you guys would care about the 11 million that they take out if you guys were successful. That wouldn't even be on the fucking books. So end of the day, I think Erik ten Hag's come in. He's seen your team, and I think he didn't even stay for a full game and said, I've seen enough and fucked off, right? Just thought, this is a shambles. So now he has to come in and now work, wave his magic wand. This is not going to happen overnight. And like you said, Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't just go out there and purchase 11 players off the bat and think it's going to work. This ain't FIFA. This is real deal football, mate. Like, you can't go and grab, he'll fit. We'll use, I've been hearing shit on bloody, on Sergej Milinkovic-Savic and Chelsea fans talking that he can play CDM. He can't. He's a centre midfielder. You can't just grab him and slot him in there. It's every player to be a specialist in his role to perform a certain duty. You do that, you got yourself a team. Now, Ten Hag's got a lot of work to do. But don't think that it's one player at a time. It's not. It's not.
No, I absolutely agree. We're going to add Tom Little to the call. We've got Casey to come on as well very soon. Viewers, make sure you're smashing that like button for us this morning. We want your views. We want your opinions as well. Eriksen advanced to Manchester United, but United fans still panicking. We want to hear from you right now. Let's do this. Tom Little's here with us now. What are you saying, mate?
The Michael Edwards stuff, it's a bit weird to me. It really is. Because
you're worried, a bit panicky.
Yes, in a way. I'm not panicking as much about if he goes to you compared to if he goes to Chelsea. But it's just a bit weird for me because I would have thought his expectations would have been bigger than just another club in England. I thought his plan was to go on to Real Madrid or to a Bayern or someone like that. That was the belief.
Man United are the biggest club in the world. So
I'm not disputing that.
Have you got a feeling like now? Is it like you just arrived in London and you see me walking down the street, your missus? You got that kind of feeling? Oh, what's going on? Is that how it feels, Tom?
It'd be like that more so with Chelsea, yeah, 100%. I'm not as worried about Hughes because I don't feel like United would use him to his full effect. I feel like his strength comes in finding a lot of them undervalued players, whereas I think United, as a club and the way they're ran, would still lean to getting 1 or 2 superstars a window because it's a massive commercial value. I think Chelsea would be ones to lean more so into the Michael Edwards regime.
I think,
United.
yeah, I don't see Man United getting him. All jokes aside, I think, you know what? It's funny, really, because people have been laughing at Chelsea. The Roman era's over. You're finished. If they bring in someone like a Michael Edwards to run their club, they're still going to have lots of money. I just think they're going to be more efficient, more prudent, and balance the books a little better than Roman did. They could be even better in this. And I said this a little while back. I feel like football, me and Lee Gunner got into a big debate over this. I feel like football has shifted recently. Not to, you can kind of argue like Klopp and Pep are kind of building these like little mini Fergie eras. Obviously, he did 25 years. They're a long way from that. But almost the clubs in their image, they're like the most powerful men at their football clubs now. But it's because the clubs are run in a particular way. What's going to be intriguing is when those two men leave, do the clubs hire similar managers with similar styles to maintain that continuity? And I think that's the most important thing for football clubs, is to have a club ethos. So you can recreate to a degree a Fergie era, but it has to be a club plan as opposed to all based on a particular manager. It's why I rejected the notion from Arsenal fans at the end of the season that said, "Oh, we can't." One of the biggest arguments for not sacking Arteta was the targets for Arteta's style of football have already been selected. But there's a great solution to that. Bring in a manager that plays a similar style to him, but that's just better. Then you don't need to change the transfer targets. And I think that for me is what's intriguing here. And Chelsea Football Club, I think the one thing about Roman that was still holding them back was this kind of, but I want Lukaku. It doesn't matter what the manager in the system wants. I want it at the club. And I think that worked before everybody else had their level of money. And since the new TV deal started in sort of 2013, 2014, and everybody was super rich, it's changed things somewhat now. Clubs, that's why it's so hard to buy players now, especially from each other in England, because it's like, well, there's no way before the new TV deal money came in that Villa would have turned down 40 million, 50 million for Jack Grealish. But because they're rich because of the TV money, they can go 100 million. We don't need the money. So if you're going to get him, you're going to pay us extortionate amounts of money. That's why the prices have gone so high. And, European clubs do the same. Look how cheap players have been sold from Ajax to European clubs. Look how much they're asking from the English clubs. It's because they want their cut of the TV deal money. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that for me.
The thing is with Michael Edwards, real quick, if he goes to Chelsea, what he done at Liverpool was built a title contending squad on a top 4 budget, if that, because that was a man who built a Champions League winning squad and then got given £4 million to strengthen it and go, there you go, win the league with that. And we pulled it off. If he goes to Chelsea, that man's going to be building a title challenging squad on title challenging money. If they back him, and if his magic computer still does what it does, like it done at Liverpool, then Chelsea could be a real threat under whoever, because that man knows how to build squads. He knows how to find these players. And Chelsea, there's no hold-ups. We always went for the second option or the third option with certain ones, because we couldn't afford the big ones. I refuse to believe that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain had the best numbers for a central midfielder when he'd never played there, but he had good numbers to cover it and was within our price range. Chelsea aren't going to put these budgetary restrictions on Michael Edwards. If, let's say, Kimmich was the best option for the role that they needed, and Chelsea put that money down for him if he wanted to come, Liverpool wouldn't do that. That's the difference, and that's what could make Michael Edwards such a big threat at Chelsea, because there'll be nothing holding him back. There will be absolutely nothing holding him back.
Yeah, and I understand that. And I think that it's interesting because a lot of people say the problem with Man United is the Glazers, and it is, but it's more how they allow the club to be run. They spend the money. And, we've hemorrhaged $1 billion. He himself, Richard Arnold said it to the fans last Saturday. We've hemorrhaged £1 billion. If you went around the training ground and looked at our squad, you would say that £1 billion hasn't been well spent. And although that might not go down well with some of the players, it's the goddamn truth. It's the goddamn truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. And it's funny how United fans, some tried turning that into, how dare he say that? That's going to be bad for the dressing room. But it's not even what you guys say every single day to them on, what you guys at them and stuff. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. People don't want to hear the truth. And if a Michael Edwards goes into a club with the money of a Chelsea, the money of a Man United, it's bad news for rivals. In fact, Man United signing Michael Edwards this summer would probably be their best signing because of what he could help bring to the club. We're going to add KC to the mix now to have his say. What are you saying, KC?
First of all, I'd like to correct you. Manchester United are not the biggest club in the world. It's probably fourth or third, depending on the year. Even based on your criteria of revenue, fans, Madrid and Barca always usually come out at top.
We're bigger.
No, you're not. Look at Twitter following. Look at revenue per year. You're not even top 3 sometimes.
Who gets the most viewers? Which football club gets viewed the most around the world?
What?
Which team gets the highest viewing figures around the world?
How does that matter? If it doesn't translate into revenue, how does that matter?
So it's only based. But I didn't say we're the highest earners in the world.
Yeah. So
let me ask you this question: if me and you both make an album, we both put our album out for sale. My album gets watched and downloaded by 100 million people, and yours gets downloaded by 50 million people. You earn more money than me. Who sold the most albums?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay, hold on.
The biggest.
If you want to play this game, you really want to play? No.
No.
No, you want to play this game? Let's actually do this.
But you're changing the criteria. You're changing the criteria. Did I say KC? Did I say Man United earn the most amount of money in the world?
So what is your criteria based on? I'm telling you that I'm basing my criteria on number of fans.
Reason why revenue. I say okay, you're saying number of fans and revenue. I'm saying number of fans and TV viewing figures.
Number of fans we are higher. Barca and Real are higher. Even sometimes Bayern Munich, depending on the year.
I disagree. I think what's interesting is that Man United's viewing figures are what counts. Now, either way, though, on a real level,
I don't think even your viewing figures are higher than us. I am not sure about that, though.
KC, I want to ask you a question. Why are you so triggered by English fans loving their league and football club so much?
Oh, no, I have no problem. I have no problem with that. But my issue is that
you message about it every day, KC. Every day, you're like, English clubs are rubbish. English clubs are crap. Yet you watch
that's just. No, I'm just trolling a bit.
You watch streams about English teams every day. What do you expect me to speak about?
But I watch streams about I watch streams about Italian teams also and French teams also. I actually want to learn more about football, so it has nothing to do with that. Yeah, but back to I want to talk about Barcelona. So the issue that we are facing right now is that because of Barcelona's FFP laws, to buy a player we have to sell 3 players, and that will be the problem till 30th June. After 30th June, hopefully the levels are in place. It should come back to 1:1. And that's when I think we will sell De Jong then.
Listen, I agree with you on that. That's something that
But I'm not even sure that I know that he doesn't want to leave. Like, we are kicking him out, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending who you ask. So are you guys not afraid that this could be the same Di Maria situation?
No.
Why?
Because it isn't the same situation. Angel Di Maria didn't want to join Manchester United.
De Jong doesn't want to join.
That's nonsense. That's the lie.
No, De Jong doesn't want to leave Barcelona. It's De Jong doesn't want to join Man United.
Yeah, he doesn't want to join. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. Yeah,
he didn't want to leave.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he didn't want to leave Barcelona, but that's gone now. That story is 6 weeks old. He's agreed terms with Manchester United. He's happy to come and play for Man United.
It depends.
It doesn't depend. Again, the vast majority of
most of them they say that he's open to joining it. So I think you can call it.
This is the thing. But this is the thing, right? We change the narrative every year. Football clubs do not bid and negotiate this deeply if a player isn't happy to join. Now, over the last 3 summers, the needle's been moved. So 2 summers ago, it was personal terms agreed at this point. Yeah. And then people started calling out the journalists. So the journalists changed it last summer to personal terms will be no problem. This year it's changed again through being called out to the player is open to and is willing to join the football club.
Yeah.
Let me finish. But in reality, They all mean the same thing. The player and the club speak and go, I'm happy with those terms, happy with this, I'll sign that. That's not a problem. It's agreed. Like, we don't need to get into the semantics of it because it's really, really boring. From my point of view, the difference between Di Maria and Frankie de Jong is Di Maria didn't want to join Manchester United. This is different. But equally, what people are suggesting in reality about de Jong by saying, well, Man United shouldn't sign him because he doesn't want to leave Barca. Barca want to sell him. So that means
doesn't want to stay there anymore.
So that by your logic, De Jong has to retire.
No.
But that's what you're saying.
Because
No.
no.
So
De Jong is not the only player that we are trying to sell, right?
Stop. Let's go back. So De Jong shouldn't. No one should sign De Jong because he doesn't.
I
want
think
to
you should sign him. I think you should sign him though. I think you should.
Why are you asking that question then?
I was asking you. I think you should sign him because we want the money. We want the 80, 90 mil, whatever you pay for us.
You're not going to get
I
90.
don't care about what happens to Manchester United. I want the money for my club.
Look, think of it this way. De Jong right now, right, he's a Barcelona player, right? Yeah. Imagine being a footballer, playing for the club that you like, and they say, you're up for sale. You're up for sale. You think De Jong really wants it? Would you really want to stay at a club that's just said, you know what, out of all these players, we need money. All these players we rate, you're surplus to requirements. We're going to put you off for sale.
No, but the thing
is there any love there? Would you want to stick around if you were working for a company that said, you know what?
Casey, can I ask you a question? What do you do for a living? What's your job, Casey?
I'm a data scientist.
Okay, you're a data scientist. Who do you work for? Do you mind? You don't need to name them. If your company comes up to you today, do you like your company? Do you like working there?
Yeah.
So if they sack you today, I assume you're not going to go and get a job anywhere else because your heart won't ever really be in it, right? Because you really want to be where you are now. You'll never work again, will you?
I do think that I'm telling you, he should leave. That's what I'm telling you. He should leave for his own career.
But you're missing my point. My point is this. Everyone's making out like just because he didn't want to leave Barca in the first instance, Man United are wrong for signing him because his heart's not going to be in it. That logic means he has to retire because his heart will be nowhere because he wants to be at Barcelona. These football players move on mentally very quickly from these situations, there's no doubt, because the most important thing to them is football. Now, the Di Maria situation, we'll go back to it, is different. A lot of people are saying in the comments, but he agreed terms. He did agree terms. Okay, he did agree terms. But he didn't really want to be there. He did it through bated breath. Now, if it comes out that De Jong isn't really sold on Man United or doesn't really want to be there and he's 50-50, then I don't want him to sign. But I've not seen a single report that suggests that he's worried, he's concerned, he's upset, he's basically been dragged into the medical room. Like, if he agreed to terms with PSG, and then we doubled the wages and he came to us, I'd be very worried. But none of that's being said, Casey.
No, but that's what I want to say. Like, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to sell him till July 1st. And that's why I think a club like PSG will come. Because they also need a midfielder. They lost out on Chouameni. They also need a midfielder. And from earlier reports that were coming out in late May, they said that De Jong wanted Champions League football because of the World Cup.
Yeah,
I think a PSG might come.
They're not going to drop De Jong for the World Cup. They're not going to drop De Jong. But the thing is with United, I'd understand if this was like 2015 United. But this is a United where he'd be playing under the manager he played his best football with, had one of his best seasons with. So there's that attraction. And there's also a lot more potential with this United team. The United team Di Maria joined and the manager he joined. I don't know how much you remember. Di Maria was brought in and never actually played his position. He got played in central midfield. He won man of the match in the Champions League final on the wing and played about 2 games out there. That's why it didn't work out. Erik ten Hag isn't going to bring in Frankie de Jong and play him left back or right wing.
But you need another pivot with him.
Okay,
that's the mistake we made.
But now, Casey, now we're moving into a completely different realm. And I think what's really interesting is the De Jong signing for Man United, I can tell through your tone, through the speed of your speech, that you're worried, that you're kind of like annoyed that Man United could be getting him. The same as most rivals are annoyed. But no,
I have no problem. I just want the most money. My problem is if we lose him and we don't buy another midfielder. That's what I'm worried about.
No problem. But you keep throwing in why it's a bad signing. He doesn't really want to leave. Could it be Angel Di Maria? Oh, but who else are you going to have play with him? Could he get into the World Cup team? You're throwing out all these negatives why it would be bad for Man United. And at the end of the day, signing Frankie de Jong is never going to be bad for Manchester United. Unless the club gets rid of Ten Hag and brings in a manager that can't utilize him in the right way, as we've done to other players. But as an individual player, it's a phenomenal signing. Do we need more around him? Yes, it's a team sport, for God's sakes. Like, you can't put Lionel Messi into the Leyton Orient team and expect him to perform like he did at peak Barcelona, because he needs quality around him. Like, this is not an individualist sport. But rival fans are, I think what it is with a lot of rivals, and you are a rival, you're a European rival. I think United are in a very horrible situation right now. We're at the beginning of a rebuild. We're at the worst position we've been in kind of 30-odd, 40-odd years. But the fact that we can still attract players like De Jong, it irks people. It upsets people.
No,
because
listen,
last summer when you guys were in the mud, you were signing Man United rejects like Memphis, and you were signing sprinters like Traore. That's why you're in the mud, because you ain't got the pool we got, bruv. If Barca ain't got that money to spend, no one wants to go there, even with your beaches, bruv. Even with your beaches. They're picking Manchester over you.
Okay,
no, okay. I'm
I'm not denying that United, I think they are the biggest English club, without a doubt.
Biggest club in the world.
You will always... no, a biggest English club without a doubt, based on trophies alone. So I still think that you will always have the pull.
Bastard! You are a bastard, mate. I swear.
No, you will always have the pull. You will always have the pull.
Poke.
No, listen, KC, I really appreciate you calling in, mate. Like, and again, you support the channel a lot, you super chat a lot. I'm only bantering you and having a laugh. I know there'll be some viewers like, "Oh, you're being really disrespectful." It's just two men having a laugh with each other. It's
shits and giggles, mate. Shits and giggles.
What men do. Listen, KC, legend for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you. Josie here says, Terry, paying over the hill for a player like you will for De Jong is continuing the cycle of United.
You're not paying over the hill.
Well, that's what we're trying not to do. It's paying over the odds. Now, the salary will be big, but he's on big salary because
he also fills the priority position that you said he can play DM.
Look, he's... Oh, for God's sake.
What
do you want them to do?
Like seriously, are Man United not allowed to sign players? Look, you know what? Man United are damned if they sign players, and they're damned if they don't. You paid too much for him. Oh, you should have gone for him. What the fuck? Like, honestly, right now, if you're a Man United fan, even if Man United spends 70 on him or 75, it's still worth it. Plain and simple. From a rival fan, I'm fucking jealous if De Jong goes to fucking Man United, and that's a fact. Because the guy's a quality fucking player, and he's going to make Maguire look half decent now. Even though Maguire's a shambles, but with him in front of him, well, it's not going to be a shit show. So, come on now.
Do you know one thing about I see Tom's face out. We obviously need to add more around him, but that's why I know rivals are a little bit shook at the idea of De Jong for different reasons. Not that they think, oh my God, United are going to challenge for the title. That's not what I mean. It's we're in the mud, and everybody was hoping we're going to sign Lee Catamol's brother. You know what I mean? We were going to ask Mark Noble to come out of retirement, but strangely, some football fans have been convinced that's what's going to happen. So what's kind of going on with De Jong when we're linked to Antony and whatever else? There's a lot of like cognitive dissonance happening. In the group chat I'm in, we all said United are going to sign no one. How's this happening? Because we're Manchester United. The same with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Everyone that said Arsenal needed Champions League football to sign anybody. Now, getting Champions League football would make it easier. Would give you more money. But Arsenal can attract star players without it because they're Arsenal Football Club. This notion that Arsenal need the Champions League to be attractive to people, it's a lie. It's a myth. It's fan theory. The problem is, it's when you don't realize that it's people that take banter seriously. I think that's the problem. People take banter seriously, like you really mean it, and they're like, "Oh yeah. I can't believe that Arsenal are signing players." Why? Because a tweet had 20,000 likes, so they won't sign anyone now. It's banter, you mug. Like, honestly, people are so dense. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. That's what I love about the Football Terrace community. Our community watching now, they're not like that. They get that it's banter. I had someone say to me the other day, I can't really watch live shows in the Terrace because the live chats, like, there's too much banter in it, too many digs at each other. I'm like,
come on, man, that's what it's all about.
Think of beauty. The live chat is the best part of the Football Terrace. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on other people's channels and everyone's in there all agreeing and they're all lovely to each other. I'm like, fuck that.
Kumbaya. Fucking kumbaya.
I ain't having it.
I ain't having it. Kumbaya, mate. Bugger that.
I'm an Arsenal fans, lad. I'm just bantering. We get it all the time. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you. Tom, Aussie Gooner, of course, Casey that phoned in as well. All the viewers, a massive thank you. Big shows coming later on today, so make sure you stay tuned on the Football Terrace. But until next time, my people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Eriksen advanced to Manchester United. Ornstein thinks we may get him, but he says he could be wrong. But Ornstein is very rarely wrong.